It's time for another episode of The Imperfect Prophet, a podcast for women who wonder. I'm Wonder Wendy, your host, here to talk to you today about being a good human being. Why would you even need to talk about that? Maybe we don't. Hopefully, you, lovely listener, do not need to hear this message. But maybe it would be good to talk about it because you'll be inspired to talk to more people about it. Last night, we met a security guard at a Diamondbacks game. Lovely woman who needs to switch to decaf. That said, she was a great storyteller. And she told us about one night when she came to the game because she's a fan and she wasn't working. She went into the restroom and all of a sudden heard a woman yelling and slamming and screaming at just crazy. At least that's the way it sounded when she told the story. So she's being her kind of a little security guard brain went on. She said, "Can I help you?" The woman said, "Somebody stole my phone." Now, it turns out this woman was a Philadelphia fan who was visiting Phoenix and had left her phone in the bathroom and was convinced somebody had stolen it. Now, our security guard in question, named Gloria, said, "I don't think anyone's stolen it. Let's go up to guest services, and I bet you somebody's turned it in." This young woman was not having much to do with that, but followed Gloria anyway and got taken up to guest services, where she was put in line and told, "You'll be fine." A little while later, Gloria was walking through the stadium, and this woman came up and tapped her on the shoulder and said, "You're not going to believe it. They had my phone. This wouldn't have happened in Philadelphia. People in Arizona are so nice." And she gave Gloria a huge hug. So Gloria took a situation which started with a screaming crazy woman and turned it into a hug. How many opportunities are out there waiting for you to do the right thing and get a hug? Just thinking about it that way really just changes your perspective on the world ever so slightly. Baseball is a great place. A baseball stadium is a great place to have experiences like that. I don't know what it is about baseball. Many baseball stadiums, not all baseball stadiums. Apparently in Philadelphia, somebody will steal your phone. I've never been to the Philly stadium, so I can't speak to that. But a couple weeks ago, I was at a baseball game, another Diamondbacks game. And a couple rows in front of me, there was a young child, probably 3 or 4, with his family. And a couple seats away was a couple men watching the game. I watched that little boy catch the eye of the man on the other side and start exchanging funny faces. And then they started laughing. And the man started making funny faces the kid imitated. And then they started high-fiving. And it was a friendship that blossomed without words. It was delightful to watch. Have we forgotten how to make friends? Look at the world right now. We have all this technology that distances us. It's supposed to make our lives easier. But we've learned to pick up the phone and text somebody instead of talking to them. We've gotten afraid of picking up the phone to talk to somebody. Even I, who grew up picking up the phone because that was the only way to communicate, short of going down the street, knocking on their door, ringing their doorbell, whatever it might be, is now not as quick to pick up the phone and talk to somebody. A, because I might be bothering them. B, because what if they don't want to talk to me? There's so many reasons not to. Even our language now, you write that text and you can hit Chat GPT and have it made look pretty. You're not even sending your own words anymore. No wonder we are losing our ability to communicate. And it only got worse during COVID. Remember those months when we were shut up with the people we lived with, the people we love? We do. We love them. But when you've been together for weeks and there's nothing new to do in the house, it gets tiring. It's hard to find a new conversation. It really did wear us down. We changed during COVID. And I still have friends who aren't getting out very much. They aren't doing very much. It's sad. And if you are that person, I strongly encourage you to break that habit. Now, I'm not saying you have to go out and go to a rave or you have to call 25 people this week, because that would be a lot and that would wear out your brain. So don't worry about that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Start slow. It's like if you're out of shape and you need to start planning to run a marathon. You don't go run a marathon. You take a walk to the corner and you come back. And the next day you walk 2 blocks. And maybe if you're building up, you go 4 blocks or 5 blocks. But it's a slow build. You can't do it all at once. I remember I went through that myself. I had surgery a few years ago, and by the time I was done with the surgery and the recovery and got off the antibiotics and got out of the hospital and all that, I was very weak. And there were days my Fitbit read that I hadn't moved at all. And I said, but I got up and went to the bathroom. I did move, but I moved so slowly. My Fitbit couldn't even read it. That's how weak I was. So slowly, my husband pushed me to get off the chair, and we literally walked to the corner to see construction happening at the end of the block. And the next day, we walked 2 corners, and the next day, we walked 3 corners. And once we'd gotten around the block, we started using my Fitbit and saying, okay, we went 400 steps yesterday. Let's go 500 steps tomorrow, until I built up to 10,000 steps a day. It took me about the better part of a month to do that. And so learning to communicate again, breaking down those boundaries, do it the same way. Start out with making a phone call to your hairdresser to get your hair done, or whomever, your hair, your nails. Call somebody to order a pizza, but don't do it online. Practice talking to people. It'll get easier. Now, when you're out of the house, here's a fun challenge to yourself. Talk to people who stand near you. Okay, if they're really creepy, you don't have to do that. But when you're in line at the grocery store, presuming you still go to the grocery store because now so many people have groceries delivered or have pickup. But if you still go to the grocery store, look at the shopping cart, either ahead or behind you, and say, wow, I've never tried Dipsy Doodle's pizza with mushrooms. Do you like it? And see what they say. Or why do you like it? Because it's in their cart. Probably they do like it. And the laugh could be they could say, I hate it, but my husband loves it. And so I buy it anyway. And it's for his dinner. I'm going to have a salad. And you know what? That's fine. But you started a conversation. You started practicing. And if you have a good laugh with somebody, all the better. All the better. It's actually what they call an advanced yoga move in several classes. In addition to doing the posture, you have to raise the corners of your mouth and expose your teeth. Oh, it's called a smile. And we've all heard when you smile and you activate those muscles, your brain says, oh, they're happy. And when happiness happens, it releases endorphins that make you even happier. So that fake it till you make it thing is real. As you meet people, work on that advanced yoga move of raising the corners of your mouth into a smile. It really will make a difference. So I think what we're saying is the cure to loneliness is you have to get out of your own way. If you're home alone, you're probably going to be lonely. If you and the people in your house are all on their electronics and not having conversations, you're probably going to be lonely. So once in a while, put down those electronics. I strongly suggest a meal. If you're really daring, go for a game night. This is a practice from the 20th century that we used to engage in when we would bring out these things called board games. Now, not all board games work for all families. You will need to experiment to find what works best with you or your co-housing unit if you don't have a family, and find something that gets everyone talking instead of on their electronics. Word games are good for my family, my extended family. My cousins and I, taboo. That's our word game. It can get a little tough sometimes because we're very competitive, but we laugh a lot and it's fun. And for other people, it's fun games like Monopoly. Not my choice. But you know what? It might work for your family if you like robber barons who shake you down for all of your money and make it not fun anymore. Wait, am I taking that personally? I am. So, what I'm trying to say is there are cures for loneliness, and it is up to you to take the cure. Maybe a little bit at a time, slowly, maybe go to a movie and talk to somebody who's waiting to go into the same film. Yes, watching a movie is a lonely experience, but guess what? Sometimes you can have conversations in the bathroom. Wasn't that great? Did you love that scene where the dress that so and so was wearing was lovely? And that's happened to me sometimes, not often, because usually I'm in a rush to go home because I'm tired. But anyway, there are ways to talk to people. There are ways to get out that are low level of commitment. This summer, there's a woman in my yoga class who I swear I had never heard utter a single word. And we'd be in the locker room together before the class, after the class. And a lot of us chatter in the locker room, but she was always very quiet. And at the beginning of the summer, she shaved her head. Quite drastic. She'd had a lot of hair. She left a little bit in the front, just like some bang section. But basically, she shaved her head. I was shocked at first. And once I put away my judgment, because guess what? It's her head. And if she wants to shave her head, I need to shut up. Hello. And I suddenly had the courage to talk to her, even though she'd never said a word. And I said, that haircut must be so much cooler in the summertime. And suddenly she started talking. She told me she'd been working construction, and between construction and hot yoga, having all that hair was just too much for her. And she decided to cut it all off. The worst thing would happen, it'll grow back. And she kept the little bits in the front so that when she wears a hat or she wears a scarf, it still looks like she has some hair. And she's loved it. It's cooler. It's more comfortable. It's easier to manage. It doesn't take up a half of her day. So I'm so glad that I made that comment. Now, I'm not going to tell you the woman who shaved her head and I have had coffee or anything like that, but we talk every time I'm in the locker room with her, and it's delightful. And I am glad to know that a little bit changed. And maybe, you know what? She smiles more now too. And remember that whole thing about smiling, feeding endorphins, and making you happier? Maybe her life is better too because I started that conversation. Maybe just by talking to somebody, you improve your life and you improve theirs. You'll never know unless you try. But don't become a recluse. If you start withdrawing into yourself, you're guaranteed you're going to be lonely. I've already discussed that though. Making friends. Did when we were kids, something we forget to do as we get older. We associate with the people we work with, the people we function with, but a lot of people don't actually make friends. And I actually heard it said recently about a person I know, who I won't name here because I don't want that on the air, that they thought making friends was something you did when you were young. So as you get older, your friends move away. Some of them, unfortunately, do pass away, and you don't have friends anymore. Nothing could be more wrong. There will be friends in your life that run the entire book of your life. You'll meet them as children. You'll stay friends with them. You'll stay in touch with them for decades, maybe until the day you die or the day they die. But most friends are in your life for a season or a chapter, however you wish to view it. And it's okay because they're here for you then. Many years ago, I met a woman at a sorority alumni event. She gave me her phone number. This was back in an era when somebody would write their number on a piece of paper, and you would put that piece of paper in your purse, wallet, what have you, until such time as you wished to call them, or you went home and you put it in your own little personal phone book. We actually used to carry little books. Believe it or not, if you're not old enough to remember that, I will fill you in on that Stone Age technology. She gave me her number, and it went in my wallet. And as luck would have it, I ended up in the town where she lived, going to the medical center. And I was alone because I was married to somebody in the Army who didn't have the availability to go to the hospital with me for this important appointment. When the doctor told me that the baby I was carrying was not a viable pregnancy, I lost my mind. It was the first time I'd been pregnant. We'd been trying for a couple of years. I sobbed, and I knew I couldn't drive home, but we only had one car. And I was about 80 miles away from home, so he couldn't come to me. And I remembered the phone number in my wallet, and I called this woman. God bless her, because I don't know how she knew what I was saying, because it probably sounds something. As a mom, I've heard those phone calls, and you have to get your kid to calm down enough that you figure out where they are and why they are sobbing and if they're in immediate danger. And she probably did just that, but I don't remember. What I do remember is that she said, "Meet me in the cafeteria. I'll be there in 15 minutes." She dropped everything and she came to be with me and she sat with me and I cried and she dried my tears. And we were friends for a season while I was living in New York State. I'm so grateful she was there for that season of my life. And I'm very sad that we lost touch with each other because I hope she knows what she did for me and how big that was. Don't mourn the friends who are gone. Be glad that you had them. And then look for new friends that fit this new season of your life. But never stop making friends. Never stop talking to people because You may help change somebody else's life, or they may change yours, but we can't do this life alone. People who are alone are generally very sad people. And I don't want you to be a sad person. I want you to have a life full of wonder, a wonderful life. So, in conclusion, I'm going to go back to what I said a little while ago. The cure to loneliness is to get out of your own way. You can do it slowly, you can do it a little bit at a time. Always do it with a smile. You will make new friends. And some of them will be people that you chat with in passing. And some of them will be people that you need to text with every day. Lord knows I have 2 friends I text every single morning. Matter of fact, I think they'd call out the state police if I didn't text them every single morning. And I have other friends who come and go from my life, and I love them. And it's okay to love your friends. Love is a great word. Love yourself, love your friends, live a wonderful life. And until I get to talk to you again, have a wonderful day.